Okay guys, so welcome back to our next exciting pre-calc lesson. So just as a quick review, let's make sure you guys kind of remember a little bit of what to do to find the period of sine and cosine. So let me give you a quick review. Remember, sine and cosine work exactly the same. If I give you the sine and I put a 5 in front of it, and I give you, say, 3x minus 4 inside parentheses. If I ask you to find the period of that function, we know that the normal period of sine, that's the distance it takes before the graph starts to repeat itself, the normal period for sine is 2 pi. So I'm going to write that as 2 pi over 1. And then the only thing that ever affects the length of that period is there a horizontal stretch or shrink in the function? And out of all these numbers, the 5, the 3, the negative 4, the only thing that affects the period is your horizontal stretch or shrink, which is always determined by the number in front of x. That's the only number I care about when I'm doing period. So since there's a 3 in front of sine, I write that as 3 over 1 if I want. To find my horizontal stretch or shrink, I flip that over and find that I actually have a horizontal stretch or shrink, in this case a shrink, of 1/3. So to find the period of my function, I do 2 pi over 1 times 1/3, which gives me 2 pi over 3. So that is the period of that function. So if I give you negative 7 cosine, let's do 3x over 7 plus 9, and all I ask you to do is find the period. The normal period for cosine is 2 pi. It's important that I know the normal period for both sine and cosine is 2 pi. 2 pi over 1 times whatever the horizontal stretch or shrink factor. So remember, out of all these numbers, the only number I care about is this one, the number in front of x. And the number in front of x is currently 3/7. So I'm going to flip that over, which gives me 7/3. So therefore I have a horizontal stretch or shrink by 7/3. So I do 2 pi over 1 times 7/3, which gives me 14 pi over 3. Remember, I'm just multiplying straight across to get that. That would be the period of that function. Now, the reason that that's important is today we're going to look at the other 4 graphs. Now, don't worry, we're not going to graph any of these. I'm going to keep this as basic as I can. So, the graph of tangent. If you want to look in your book on page 310, you can see what all these graphs look like. So I will put that up at the top here. But I'm not going to graph these like I did for sine and cosine. Here's all I want you to know. For tangent and cotangent, their normal periods, and remember, period is just how long it takes for the graph to repeat itself. Their normal periods are pi. Now that is different from sine and cosine. The normal period for sine and cosine was 2 pi. The normal period for tangent cotangent is pi. If I give you the graphs of secant and cosecant, their normal periods are 2 pi. And just as review, sine and cosine are normally, for their periods, normal periods are 2 pi. Okay, so these are the normal periods that you need to know. Now, moving on to our next slide here, what I'm going to be asking you to do in tonight's section of homework is take transformed trig graphs and identify only what the period is. That's all I'm asking you to tell me. Okay, so this really hinges on you knowing what the normal periods are. So if I give you the tangent of 7x, find what your horizontal stretch or shrink factor. And remember, horizontal stretch or shrink factor only deals with the number in front of x. So in this case, the number in front of x is 7 over 1. That means I have a horizontal stretch or shrink factor of 1/7. Therefore, when I say what's the period of this function, The only thing you have to remember is what's the normal period of tangent. And the normal period of tangent is pi. So I do pi over 1 times 1 over 7. That gives me pi over 7 for the period of that function. If I give you the -5 secant of x over 4 plus 9, now I've got all kinds of numbers in here. But remember, if all I'm asking you to do is period, I don't care about most of those numbers. The only number I care about is what is in front of x. And the number in front of x on this one is really a 1/4. So if the number in front of x is 1/4, I'm going to flip that over and get a horizontal stretch or shrink by 4. So when I go to do the period of this, what you have to remember is what's the normal period for secant. The normal period for secant is 2 pi. So 2 pi over 1 times 4 over 1 tells me that the period of this function is 8 pi. Okay, is this starting to click a little bit for you? I hope so. Let's try a couple more examples, and I think you'll be ready for tonight's homework. Okay, so what if I give you -1/7 cotangent? Sorry, I just wrote cotangent. Let me figure out the eraser here. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Okay, cotangent of pi x over 3 minus 4. It's really hard to write on this thing. I'm trying to do better. I don't even know if any of you are still listening to me at this point. If you are, I'll give you a little joke. What do you call a chicken that's really good at arithmetic? A mathema-chicken. Come on, that's pretty funny. Okay, hopefully you guys are still with me for that one. Okay, so here we go. Period for cotangent is normally pi. So pi over 1. What is my horizontal stretch or shrink number? Horizontal or stretch or shrink number, I'm going to flip that number over. It's currently pi over 3. I'm going to flip that. That becomes 3 over pi. So I take the normal period for cotangent, pi over 1 times 3 over pi, and I get 3. And if I were to give you, let's actually write this as an equation. Y equals 4 cosecant of 13x. Let's just leave it at that. I'm going to find the period of this by taking 2 pi over 1, because this is cosecant. The normal period of cosecant is 2 pi, times whatever your horizontal stretch or shrink factor is. So where am I looking for that? You guys tell me, where am I looking for this horizontal stretch or shrink factor? That's right, it's the number in front of x, which in this case is 13. So I'm going to flip that over, which gives me 1/13. So 2 pi over 1 times 1/13 gives me 2 pi over 13. That's the period. Okay, so I've given you an example of each one of these. You just have to know what's the normal period. And most of these numbers you can completely forget about. All I care about is that number in front of x. Flip that number over, multiply it by the normal period, and you are good to go. That's all I'm asking you to do on tonight's homework. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions.